Chicago Fire star David Eigenberg talks One Chicago crossover event. You know our friend David Eigenberg from Chicago Fire and Sex and the City, and he's back with us to talk about Wednesday's 3-hour One Chicago crossover event. Love the WGN Morning News. We love you too. And you can have all the hijinks delivered to your inbox every weekday morning. Sign up and subscribe to our WGN Morning News newsletter. Copyright 2025 Nexstar Media, Incorporated, all rights reserved. This material may not be published, broadcast, rewritten, or redistributed. The morning air was thick with anticipation as David Eigenberg, known to Chicago Fire fans as Christopher Herman, tightened the laces of his boots at Firehouse 51. The buzz around the station wasn't just the usual chatter about the shift ahead. Word had come down the chain that today would mark the beginning of the biggest One Chicago crossover event in years. The city was bracing for a massive emergency. An unknown group had hacked into Chicago's infrastructure, knocking out communications across key services. Power grids flickered, emergency calls were rerouted or lost. And to make matters worse, reports were coming in about simultaneous fires at several substations. For Herman, it wasn't just another day in the city. It felt like something out of an action movie. Chief Bowden gathered the squad for a briefing. We're working with CPD and Met on this one. Whatever this is, it's coordinated. They're trying to cripple this city, and we need to hold the line. As the engine roared down the avenue toward a burning substation on the south side, Herman sat beside Severide, his grizzled face showing a mix of tension and readiness. "Feels like old times," he muttered. "You mean chaos and smoke?" Severide smirked. Herman gave a tight nod. "Exactly." At the same time, Detective Jay Halstead from Chicago PD was in hot pursuit of a lead. He and Haley Upton had traced the hack to a downtown tech firm. As they pulled up, the building erupted into flames. Smoke billowed out of shattered windows, and people poured onto the street. "Fire just became your lead," Upton said grimly. "Call 5-1, Halstead said, already on his radio. "We've got a live one." Back at the hospital, Dr. Will Halstead and Dr. Crockett Marcel were prepping for mass casualty. The ER was already packed with injuries from a blown transformer. "This is turning into a war zone," Will muttered. "Good thing we've got medics with nerves of steel," Crockett replied, nodding as Sylvie Brett and Violet McCamey wheeled in another patient. The med team knew the adrenaline would keep them going, but the uncertainty hanging over the city was becoming heavier by the hour. Herman's team arrived at the flaming building, only to find that the flames were the least of their worries. Inside, a hidden server room was rigged with homemade explosives. "You gotta be kidding me," Cruz muttered, eyes wide. "This isn't just arson. Someone's trying to erase something," Herman said. He looked toward Severide. "You thinking what I'm thinking? That we're standing in a ticking time bomb?" "Yeah." They radioed for bomb squad and cleared the building fast. Just as squad made it out, the explosives went off, sending a shockwave through the street. Glass rained down like confetti. The explosion became the final puzzle piece for Halstead and Upton. With new intel from a tech forensics expert at Med, none other than Dr. Hannah Asher, who'd been consulting on digital trauma recovery, they discovered a rogue ex-cybersecurity analyst had launched the attack. His daughter had died when a faulty city power relay caused a hospital failure. In his grief, he turned his coding skills into a weapon. With the suspect's location narrowed to an abandoned rail yard, Firehouse 51, Med, and PD mobilized as one. David Eigenberg's Herman, ever the beating heart of the team, was already organizing evac zones and coordinating with EMS. It was at that moment that Herman's true mettle came forward. As CPD closed in on the suspect, A desperate last attempt was made to torch a final substation nearby. Herman spotted a live wire sparking toward a pool of gasoline where several CPD officers were pinned by debris. Without hesitation, he charged forward with a fire blanket and foam extinguisher. "Move. Get out of here now," he barked, diving forward. A burst of flame erupted, but Herman shielded the worst of it. He got the officers out. His turnout gear was scorched, his face dirty with soot, but he refused the ambulance. "Somebody's got to stay here and make sure the rest of this place doesn't go up like 4th of July, he grunted. Halstead approached him after the smoke cleared. "You know that was insane, right?" Herman cracked a smile. Insane is leaving beer on the tap too long. This is just being a Chicago firefighter. By nightfall, the city was stabilizing. Power was being restored. The suspect was in custody. Med's ER was calming, and Firehouse 51 returned home battered but unbroken. Back in the kitchen of the firehouse, the team gathered. Mouch brought out a battered case of beer. Even Bowden allowed it, just this once. To crossing lines, Cruz toasted. To Chicago, Brett added. Herman stood and raised his drink. To all of us, no matter what color the uniform, no matter the department. Today, we were one city, one heart, and one hell of a team. Severide clapped him on the back. "You still know how to make a speech." Herman chuckled. "Just don't expect me to do it at your wedding." They all laughed, but the emotion ran deep. What had started as chaos became one of the most heroic efforts the city had ever seen. The streets of Chicago might never know peace for long, but as long as the One Chicago team stood together, there was always hope. And somewhere in the shadows, a new threat watched the news clips, eyes glinting in the glow of a computer screen. The crossover may have ended, but the war for Chicago had only just begun. Coming soon, One Chicago, Blackout Protocol. Next crossover event. When an underground syndicate launches a full-scale cyber attack during a solar eclipse, the One Chicago universe will face its darkest hour yet. Stay tuned.